I've been single for a long time. And I know some people might be saying, oh my God, that's crazy. But no, listen. Be quiet. This isn't about me. This is about you. And I've been single for a long time because I had told myself that I would be working on the grounds, doing research, and sacrificing myself, becoming a martyr, because I wanted to bring to you, the internet, the fundamentals of how to have and sustain a happy, long-term relationship forever. Or how to vet out someone who's not your person very early. So then we could hopefully decrease the divorce rate in America. And hopefully kids will be born in emotionally regulated, healthy homes full of love and passion and niceness. So I'm going to get into it because I want to change some people's lives. And I want to see everyone being happy and everyone full of love. And I want to see more magic in this world because this world needs more magic. So I think a big problem, first of all, we're going to get into the number one. And this one might be the most controversial. And there's a lot of opinions about this. But listen, I don't make the rules. I just write it down. And the first one is you got to feel it. You got to feel the fire. You got to feel the chemistry. You got to feel the passion. You got to feel the electricity. And you got to feel it. If you don't feel it, you're going to spend the rest of your time with that person pretending. And then that doesn't do any of you either favors. So you have to feel it. And you feel it very early. And if you don't feel it, it's not for you. And if you feel it, then that's a really good sign because that's the first step into keeping things going. And I know a lot of the talk of the town is that it's not just about the feeling because of the other stuff. And yes, that takes me to my next point. After you feel it, then comes the rest of the fundamentals, which is how to sustain it. Because the thing when you feel this fiery passion, this magic, it's very beautiful. But the hard part is sustaining it forever. And the way you do that is there's fundamentals of how to keep a relationship going and how to sustain that magic and that passion and just how to know the rules of just being a relationship-minded person. And that takes me to the rest of the stuff. Seeing beyond the physical. So when you first feel the magic of stuff, the attraction is very immediate, and you're like, whoa, I like this person. This person seems great. And a lot of that is like the surface level attraction, which is perfect. It's amazing. You want that. You want the surface level stuff because that tells you that you're going to keep going to the next steps. After that, though, comes the more subtle parts. And part of that is seeing beyond the physical and beginning to tell yourself that you're going to set aside all of the physical stuff to really see this person for who they are below the surface, to really get to know your person below the iceberg. And there's a lot to get to know. A lot. And part of that is getting to know every version, every detail, every part of this person as much as you can and really seeing it, not ignoring it, and really starting to see and accept the imperfections. And a lot of the things that kind of go a little awry, that don't go too great in the beginning, is when people start to ignore the things they don't like. And you have to go into the mindset after you feel that magic to really start grounding yourself and be like, all right, we feel the good stuff, but now let's think about this for a second. Let me take into account everything I'm learning about this person. Let me do my research. Are the flaws that I'm willing to manage? Are these flaws that I'm okay with? So take a look at all the things that are human about this person that you're with and be like, okay, am I okay with this person snoring? Am I okay with this person being anxious? Am I okay with someone who puts on the TV too loud? Am I okay with someone who doesn't know how to cook? Am I okay with someone who forgets to do their bed? Am I okay with someone who doesn't like doing the dishes? Am I okay with all these random little pet peeves, all these human things that just happen when you're with someone for a long time? And you can't really notice all of them, but the big ones, I think, show up in the beginning. And the thing is, you're not supposed to ignore them. You're supposed to really think about them and really think to yourself, like, is this something that I could be okay with forever. And that's a hard part. That's a hard thing that you got to talk to yourself through. And a lot of these points, I have like 15 bullet points, and a lot of these sort of like tie in with one another. So some of them might be repeating. But the next one is there really has to be an equal level of passion and magic, and also just competence and the fundamentals of sustaining a relationship. Because I find that the reason a lot of relationships don't work out and they don't make it is because there's either too much passion and not enough, I don't know what to do to keep this going, or there's not enough passion and there's too much, let me follow the rules of how to keep a relationship. But then there's no like sauce, you know? It's kind of like having spaghetti that doesn't taste good. Like you might cook the spaghetti really good and it might objectively be really good spaghetti, but it's not really delicious. It doesn't, yeah, it's kind of like you need like both. You need to cook it correctly and you have to have that really special sauce so then you always want to go back, you know? So that's really what it is. So a lot of that is really having a balance between the part of like your heart and your mind. So letting your heart sort of like guide you as to where to pay attention, where to put in your effort, and then relying on your mind to kind of keep things going logically and like, make sure that things are going on the right track and you're making a very sound and clear decision. And a lot of that really gets into not getting too caught up. So every step of the way, going steady, going slow enough to where you could see things clearly, but also not dim that fire. That is very important and very beautiful and will make it just feel really nice. A biggie is accepting your person for who they are in the moment. I think it's really easy when you meet someone to see the potential, see all of the best qualities, see all of the ways in which this person could become their ultimate form, which is cool. It's super cool. But I think there's a level of accepting the person in front of you that is really important, that is really easy to miss. And it's something that I keep seeing time and time again, where a lot of the frustrations that come down the line, like years down the line, is that someone wants to change someone, or they both want to change each other because they start noticing things that they maybe didn't really fully become aware of in the beginning. And now that they're really deep in it, they become aware of it. And they're like, oh man, I don't like this. Let me see if I could change this. And I think you have to be careful. You can't change your person. I think you really have to accept every part of who they are, even like the flaws. And then together you kind of work and talk and communicate how you both feel and how things make you feel, so that you could both grow together, change together, mold, adapt, learn. There's going to be mistakes. You're going to make mistakes along the way. I think that's part of the beauty of a relationship, is you guys are growing individually and you're growing together and you're learning a lot. And sometimes little things are going to happen, little miscommunications. And I think a big part is learning how to see eye to eye with your person and being like, I see things this way. And the person being like, well, I see things this way. And then you guys talking it out and being like, okay, well, how can we try to see things the same way or understand where each person is coming from without taking it personal, without getting upset? Because at the end of the day, you guys are together because hopefully there's love, there's magic. So neither of you are out to maliciously hurt the other people. If someone does something messed up, they didn't mean to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be with you, because why would they be with someone they want to hurt? You know what I mean? So I think there's a level of understanding that has to happen where, like, you have to remind yourself, like, we're together because we mutually feel the same way. And if one person does not feel the same way, then this is something that you would catch within my other bullet points previously, whereas like you both have to feel the magic, and it can't only be one person. And you kind of know when that happens. You know intuitively when it's just you, and you know intuitively when it's mutual. So all of that taken into consideration, there has to be a level of understanding where, like, all right, like, I have to try to understand this person because this person is not me. This person does not think the same way I do. We have different brains. We're different people, and we're trying to understand each other, understand each other's communication styles, understand each other's love languages, which kind of gets into a different point, which is understanding, learning, and applying your person's love language. I'm a believer that everyone is capable of everyone likes every love language, you know? Everyone likes touch. Everyone likes words of affirmation. It's just some people prioritize some over the others. And I think a big piece of being with someone is understanding which love language your person prioritizes and then prioritizing it. But I think a big piece is like learning your person's love language and then also being like, all right, well, this is the way I'm going to do it because I care about you. So I want to show you love in your love language. And yeah, it's really adapting to your person because you care. So naturally, that also goes into like, you guys are different people. So there are going to be commonalities that you share, which is beautiful. And you should hold on to those commonalities because those are the activities that you guys are going to hold dear to your hearts and you guys are going to enjoy doing together. Now, there's going to be other interests that you don't care about, and that's fine. You're not going to care about every single thing that your person is interested in. The important thing is caring enough about the person to try. So if someone really, really loves watching The Bachelor and you don't care about it, but you don't hate it, it's sort of like trying to trying to entertain your person, be like, all right, I'm going to sit with you and watch an episode because you care and you want to spend time with that person. Or if you hate it, kind of finding something that you can do instead, where it's like, all right, well, this is your thing and this is going to be my thing. And then it's also sort of like understanding that like what your I guess I don't want to say what your deal breakers are, but what is something that you know for a fact that you can't do. Like if you're someone who hates sports and you know that you will never be anyone who will sit down and watch sports on TV, don't pretend. Don't act like you can, because it's going to show in the future. And then you're going to be frustrated when every week your person is watching sports on the TV and you hate it. And it's going to annoy you because you didn't accept it in the beginning and you weren't honest. And your person was like, well, you told me that you were kind of okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm using an example from like childhood and stuff, but there's all sorts of examples. Like if you don't like traveling, you know, and that's really important to your person, then that's just not gonna that's gonna be really hard because your person's gonna want to travel and you're not, and that's gonna always be something that you guys are gonna like not agree on. So I think knowing like the big stuff and the little stuff really early and really accepting it and trying to figure out early on how you could navigate that when that comes up in the future is gonna save a lot of stuff. And again, all of this will iron itself out given that there is that initial magic, that initial passion, that initial chemistry. Because if both people don't feel that in the beginning, then you won't have that foundation. You won't have that something to hold on to when it does get tough. Because I think when a relationship starts getting really tough, you need that love and that passion to hold on to, because that's what's going to get you going to, that's what's going to get you being like, all right, this is worth us figuring out because I feel it, this person feels it, and we both really want to feel it, and we both want to figure this out. And it's also kind of noticing a lot of the big stuff early on, like making sure that your values, you have similar values. Like you don't have to have the same. I'm a believer that most people value like if you're a sane human, most people value family. Most people value love. Most people value fun time. Most people value learning. Most people value the similar things. So I think a lot of it is kind of making sure that you, for the most part, have similar values, or for the most part, you have very core similar belief systems where, like, you're both open-minded. You're both willing to learn from your mistakes. You're both willing to grow. You're both willing to sort of live your own lives and then also create a life together. So then you both have a balance. You have your own world and you have your world together. You're both willing to find your own hobbies. You're both very secure in and trust each other. And that's a really big foundation. So I think a lot of the big stuff sort of comes from a lot of the other stuff that I mentioned before. And I know a lot of this is very objective, or like not objective. It's very abstract and vague, but it's important. And I think when you meet someone, it's very easy to get caught up in your feelings where you kind of ignore the fundamentals and you ignore like, let me pay attention to the stuff that's might be a problem down the line, because you want to really prepare yourself for what's going to come. So like, like if you notice things, like don't ignore it. It's important. You got to take it into consideration. And noticing all of this stuff is going to tell you very early on, like, is this the person you want to continue pursuing things with, or is this someone that is just not going to work, because you're not going to keep lying to yourself like this is just not something that's going to be sustainable long term. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think another big thing, tying into accepting your person for who that person is right in front of you instead of like trying to change them, is accepting that people change. Humans change and grow and evolve all the time. So chances are the person you met in the beginning is going to grow and change into new versions of themselves. And maybe they'll try different versions of themselves because they want to see how that is. They want to see, like, what if I tap into this version of myself? What if I grow into this part of myself? And I think a big part of pursuing a life with someone and being with someone forever is accepting and being okay with every version that they try on, and being like, I will love you and be with you through every evolution and every growth, and really understanding that from the very beginning. So when you meet someone, being like, all right, like, is this someone who I care for and who I can't stand by, regardless of who they grow into? I mean, assuming they're not like growing into like the worst versions of themselves, you know? Like, if this person wants to like grow into, I don't know, like if they want to pursue something that in the beginning maybe they didn't want to pursue, or like they change their mind about stuff, or like I don't know. I really can't think of an example, but I think you kind of understand what I mean. Like, people change all the time, and the person you meet might not grow into the person that might grow into like a more evolved, more mature, more different person. And it's kind of understanding that you guys are all going to grow and evolve, and trying your best to stick by that person, even if maybe you guys have different ideas of how you grow, or like maybe, because I know sometimes people grow in different directions, but I think that happens because a lot of there were a lot of things that were missed in the beginning, where, I mean, you get cues, you get like intuitively, you could see sort of if you're going to grow in a different direction. Like, there are certain things, like if you meet someone who knows that they want kids, and I want kids, and then someone else doesn't want kids, like, I just know, like, this is like, if someone like that, I'm not going to hope that this person's going to change their mind. Like, this is just something in which we will just grow separately in, you know what I mean? So there are certain things like that where you're just going to have to really accept. Otherwise, if everything's great and dandy, then you're going to have to also accept that you guys are going to have to grow together. And part of growing together is accepting the person in which your person will grow into, and standing by them and supporting them, supporting their dreams, supporting their aspirations, supporting their hobbies. If your person wants to start a soap business and you don't really understand it, being there for your person and being like, I will support your soap business, and I will tell my friends, and I will buy all of your soaps, and I will use all of your soaps, even if maybe I don't like the way some of them smells, because I love you and I support you. And that's kind of what that is. And that kind of goes into another point, which is kind of choosing your battles and prioritizing your person over being right. I think naturally humans just want to be right. We have an ego, and that's fine. It's totally cool. Everybody has an ego. We like to feel like we're right. We like to feel like what we're doing is the right way, and sometimes we like to impose what we think is the right way onto our person because we want them to understand it. But I think there has to be a level of understanding that your way is your way. It's not the right way, but it's the way that works for you. And your person might have a different way, and that way could be a right way for them. That could also work for them, and that's okay. You guys could have different ways of doing things, and both can be right. And also, having enough compassion and empathy to not shame your person, to not make them feel dumb, to not make them feel bad about doing things the way they want to do things. So maybe you're at a restaurant and your person mispronounces something. Your person tells you something that might not be true because you know it's not true, but it's something really small. Like, it's not something big and important. Like, maybe your person says a fact about life where they're like, you know, I read somewhere that this and this. And then you're like, oh, I don't think that's true. Just let them talk about it. Like, you don't have to interrupt and be like, well, I don't know if that's true, and then make them feel dumb. You don't got to do that. Or if your person mispronounces a word and it's not really a big deal, you don't have to like and you know if you say something it'll make them feel a little dumb, because you know that might be like an insecurity, that might be something they're dealing with, and you know that maybe they struggle with feeling smart. Don't do something that you know is going to put them in a bad headspace. Or like, it's also kind of understanding the triggers of your person, understanding their insecurities, understanding, where they need a little bit more love, and having enough love and understanding for yourself and your person to help them, to help gentle parent them the way you would gentle parent yourself. And a lot of the healthy ways in which you approach a relationship, you learn from all of the healthy ways you approach the relationship with yourself. So if you notice your person has really negative self-talk, where they're like, you know what, I don't know if I can do this, it's being there for them in a loving way and be like, these are all the really great qualities about you, and this is the way in which I think you could really do this and step into what you want to do. And being that positive reinforcement where you kind of help your person, grow into the parts of themselves that they're kind of like don't feel too great about. And I think that's also one of the beautiful things about a partnership, where it's like, you guys help each other in the areas where you might need a little more tender love and care. So if you're someone who's more secure, and like maybe your person is a little bit more anxious in certain areas, it's you carrying that during those moments. So in the moments where your person is a little down, you being like that positive force, being like, I can give that good energy when you need it the most. I can be that little up when you're feeling not too great, and kind of figuring that situation out, kind of like understanding it. The next thing is communication, and this is a big one, and this kind of ties into everything. And with communication, it's important to nip things in the bud. So when there's something where you guys don't see eye to eye, where there might be a miscommunication, where there might be something where you're like, oh, my person said this, but I don't really know what they meant. And then you start overthinking. You gotta nip it in the bud. You gotta ask for clarity. Clarity is important, because if there's no clarity, it breeds assumption. And when you start assuming, you start assuming the worst, or you start assuming incorrectly. So then your person and you see things very differently. So you have to make sure to communicate. If something bothers you, say it. If you are wondering what they meant when they say something, ask them in the beginning. Don't let it fester. Don't let it grow, because then you're going to hold on to things and it's going to leak. And then you're going to be resentful, and it's not going to feel too great, and it's going to affect your relationship. The next thing is really practicing how to listen and how to be thoughtful. So listen to what your person likes and dislikes. Listen to what they tell you. Be present. Be fully there. If you guys are watching a movie together, don't go on your phone. If you're eating dinner, don't go on your phone. If you're doing something with them, really be there fully. Be present and listen. And if they say something, remember it. Try your best to remember it. If you know you're not going to remember something, write it down. So that in the future, when Christmas comes around and you're like, I don't know what to get my person, well, you wrote down all the things they said they wanted, and you could give them a thoughtful gift. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be expensive. People just like to be heard. People like to feel seen. People like to be listened to. So just pay attention to the little things, and then that'll make all the difference. Like, just pay attention to the little things, you know what I mean? Because that makes all the difference. I think people fall into this trap of being like, oh, I have to get the most expensive, amazing thing. I don't know what to get my person. But, like, people will tell you what they want. And you have to listen to people when they say what they want, because that's what they want. And if you get them what they want, they'll be happy. And you have to learn how to read in between the lines and, like, really understand, like, what your person likes. Like, don't get your person a plant if you know they don't like plants. Don't get them perfume if you know they are very specific about perfume and they don't like all the perfumes in the world. Get them things that you know will make them happy. Just listen, be thoughtful, and take yourself out of it. It's not about you. It's about your person. So get them things that you know will make them happy. You gotta listen. You gotta be thoughtful. You have to pay attention. You have to be present. And I guess the last couple of things is you have to listen to your gut, because that will tell you stuff all throughout. You gotta listen to your gut. And you also have to have a level of knowing how to learn and how to unlearn. Now, this reminds me of applying to jobs. So I've been at my previous company for 6 years. So now that I'm applying to new jobs, I find that whenever I go to an interview, going to a new job is they want to know that you're hungry to learn, that you're teachable, that you're moldable, that you're not someone who's going to hold on to everything from your previous job, that you're willing to adapt and learn to the new ways in which the new job does things. And you could apply that to a relationship. So stepping into your person and learning about your person, taking away the stuff that you learned from previous ones, and being willing to learn, adapt, and unlearn all the things you need to do to make sure that this one works and it's sustainable. And that's really difficult because sometimes you carry with you things from your past, and then it's easy to be like, well, this happened before, so it might happen again. But no, you're with a new person. Your person is a completely different person than people that you dealt with. So you have to really give them the grace, give them the chance of really showing you who they are. So I think that's pretty much it. I think if you follow these steps, then I think you will live a very happy and long relationship, and they will be full of love, and it'll be very sustainable, and then you'll never have to get divorced. And then if you decide to have kids, your kids will be born in a house full of love, in a house that is emotionally regulated, and then the world will be a happier place because less kids will have trauma. And if not, then you'll notice if the person that you're currently dating is not your person, and you might want to reevaluate things because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could handle these flaws. I don't know if I could handle this. I don't know if I'm really okay with this. And then you could kind of nip it in the bud really early, so then you're not with someone for too long and you're like, oh man, I made a mistake because I didn't see things too early. So hopefully this video saves lives. And if you anyways, I think that's pretty much it. I wish you a very happy long-term relationship. See you later.